survived it.
Yeah, it was okay. It
Was that 3 days?
2 days. It was 2 days there.
2 days?
Yes. And, well, I think it went fine. They recorded the second one, which they're gonna publish soon. So the next couple of days, which the full demo. And so crossing my fingers. Hope it will be fine.
I watched about the first half of the one that you posted already. Those were good.
The software one? Yeah, with on SonicState?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really
very good.
Very, very impromptu. It was, I sent an email to Nick Batt, but he's so busy that he wasn't actually able to reply to it. But then I saw him walking around, and he arrived at the Steinberg booth to record something with Steinberg product specialist. And I was like, hey, Nick, do you have a few minutes? And he said, well, I don't know, maybe after the Steinberg thing. Okay, well, I'll be here. And I was quickly setting everything up, and like, okay. And making sure that I'd grab him when he was finished. I said, can we record now? Can we record now?
Multi-talented. You're a programmer and a musician and an Eigenharp player, and now you're a promotional representative for Eigenlabs.
Well, I'll do my best. We all want this thing
I'm glad.
To take off as well as it can, right? It needs everyone to chip in and lend a couple of hands.
Yeah, I would be even more inclined to buy an Eigenharp with all the stuff that's come out now since the last 8 months or so.
Right. Yes.
There's definitely more information.
And people don't know about it, so it's good to start talking about it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people would really go crazy over it, really, but it's just not known, and it's hard to present.
I had this very surreal experience. So I sent out a whole bunch of emails about the fact that I was at MusikMesse and that I could do some private demos, right? And there was this one magazine, AudioFanzine. And they said, yeah, well, we can meet up, and here's a time slot that works for me, and then that didn't work for me, and then we kind of emailed back and forth. And when at the show, finally we found a moment where it was possible, so I gave them a short overview of what the Eigenharp was. They'd never heard about it. And it's quite a big audio website in France, and they had never heard about it. So I just do the overview of it, and then I say this is new in the software and the whole thing. And then she basically said, well, so after about half an hour, like, well, you can go ahead and create some database entries on our website about your product, and that was that. Like, you're not going to post a news item at least, or just something? Well, they're posting about the most ridiculous little plugin that has been announced during the time frame of MusikMesse. But that's not important enough. It's only a very novel new musical instrument that can kind of change the way people play electronic music. But that's not important. It's the next revision of a new equalizer is much, much, much more important, because there aren't any equalizers out there, right? So anyway.
Oh my!
So and now I kind of got
How strange.
Yeah, now I got a follow-up email where they're asking us if I can contact blah 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 for editorial content. And by the way, are you interested in advertising on our website? I say okay.
Okay.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, I've been there a little bit myself in a different field, though, where people are expressing interest, but their interest is really they want you to buy advertising or some other services that they offer.
Yes.
Not really about really being interested in what you're doing.
No, which it's a bit weird. I thought we were past that. I thought we were all kind of all those websites that they realize that as soon as you provide worthwhile content that is original and new, then you will kind of attract users and visitors, and if you've got a lot of users and visitors, then you will attract advertisers. It seems like a logical way of doing things.
Well, it seems to be what a lot of people are doing. Yeah.
So anyway, it was a bit strange.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of publicity.
Yeah.
And that's probably pretty calm compared to what some people go through in the really far
Hello.
out ends of it.
Hey, Dragica.
Hey, good to see you.
So
Finally.
I didn't start the Hangout on the regular address because I basically ran into a bug. I couldn't invite anyone. So it was only a private
Yeah, there
invite.
was some. I had some problems joining.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
Yeah.
So I can invite
It always
people.
told me if I want to open up one. I wanted to join, and it told me, yeah, you can open one.
Yeah.
So
Inviting.
Everything worked normal for me.
it's a constant. One of us needs to have a problem every week.
Yes, but it's not stopping there. I've got a whole bunch of trouble now. I can't seem to start up EigenD anymore. I don't know why. It's like I come back and everything's broken.
That's if you go to conferences and
Yes. And
probably the little gnomes came and tried to do something.
yeah, they changed everything in my place. It's not the same anymore. So how have you been?
Yeah, good. Busy.
Mike?
Morning.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
So yes, I'd have to check for that Hangout. I'm not sure if that's the one without audio. There is. I thought I didn't upload
Yeah.
it, but it seems I might have accidentally stuffed it in my archive because I know I didn't upload it to live stream back in the day. But I have a local copy of all the recordings, which are the ones that I uploaded to YouTube. So it might be that I still
Yeah.
had it in my local copy and didn't check. I didn't check everyone.
I mean, I checked it in YouTube and I don't get any sound. And I tried reloading and stuff like this.
Yes.
And I still don't get any sound. So
Must be that broken one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a good idea to remind me to check if I actually have sound here. So I hope I have. I forgot to check that. Damn. Well, let's hope that it's working. I can't check in this application after the thing is running. This is strange. Yes.
I was on there is some kind of small music festival here in Zurich on Friday, Saturday it was. It's called M for Music. They have panels and so on, and there was they had some nice panels about music in film, music in media,
Yeah.
and a workshop how to get how as a band how to get successful or what to do, you know, to get yourself out there. It was very interesting.
And did they have anything
Not really.
worthwhile to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the guy had some really good ideas for smaller bands. Like he had this one band who did a charity walk, and since they were the only interesting people doing the charity walk, all the cameras nationwide were following them. And because they were a punk band and they did this 100 kilometers in 30 hours charity walk with only beer and no training and being crazy. And so they generated some marketing for themselves. And he had some really clever ideas like that, how to not have money and still get people to notice you.
Yeah, it's standing out with something that sets you apart, or being a lot of luck. There's this band here in Belgium. Is it a Belgian band? I think it is. Puggy. I don't know if you've heard about them. They do modern style Beatles type rock pop songs, which are extremely popular, and they've been scraping by for years until they played at a big festival. But they were kind of opening the festival. So they opened the festival, And then there was a festival-wide power outage. So the only thing that the camera crews recorded was that band. So the cameras, so the television stations just put that on loop. So they were playing on television the whole day long. And then some well-known band that was traveling and it came through Belgium just flipped on the television in the hotel room and they saw that band playing. They said, "Wow, that's a great band. We want them for our first act." And then they played first act and toured around the world with, I can't remember which well-known band it is, but it's some very, I'd have to look it up, but very big band. And then they became famous. So it can be really something very stupid, like a power outage.
Yeah, he also said if you are in a festival as a band, try to find, there are other vendors. Try to find some vendor who wants to cooperate with you and make some a small fan concert or something for people who bought, I don't know, a T-shirt at this booth or something, or find an NGO, or maybe give blood. Oftentimes on festivals there's stuff like the Red Cross or something, and then go as a band and make it public that you're giving blood and taking your fans with you and stuff like this. And
everyone
really
slits their throats in front of the camera.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I mean, it's not much. It's not. I mean, he doesn't have the goose with the golden eggs, but it's small things you can think about.
What do you mean? There isn't a magical solution that makes everyone instantly famous? There are websites claiming that it exists.
It may be that somebody has one. I don't know. He doesn't have one. But he had some nice tips. He also said that as a band you should find five points about you that are unique. Just search until you find 5 points that you can for press and journalists, that you can easily give them so that they can more or less grasp you inside of 5 terms. And I also found interesting, his thing was have press stuff ready. And interviews.
It's very important.
And for radio interviews, think about the 20 questions probably somebody from radio wants to ask you. Then record the answers as MP3s and send them to the radio with a list of the questions. So the radio guy can ask the question and play back your MP3. And then you have a radio interview. And they didn't have to do anything. And you had you have your answers and your questions out there. And things like this was very helpful. So little things you can do that doesn't cost too much and probably help you.
Yes, I can check if this is... Derek Sivers was publishing a very interesting, since we're on the topic of that, I'm just going to sign up for it again. It's free anyway, but he sends it. Just see if that's the book. I've been passing that around. See if that's a very interesting read. So he's the guy that started cdbaby.com, which is kind of the first indie online CD store that got extremely popular, and then he sold it and he basically gave his company away to charity.
Okay.
Oh God, I made it public again, right? Good morning. So, what was that particular? Yeah, one of the things he also said, I'm not sure it's in there, is that exactly as you said, Dragica, is always keep everything press related handy. It's a very stupid thing, but having one folder with everything, like short bio on 1 sentence, 3 sentences, 2 paragraphs, and then having the full one, and having pictures in different shapes and sizes, and having everything ready, logos, different shapes and sizes, descriptions, videos, all these things, being able to upload that immediately and send that out that's a huge time saver.
Yeah, and have it handy in a Dropbox folder too.
Yes.
He was into also. I mean, he's a young guy, so he understood things like Facebook and things like this, and Twitter and I mean, doing good and talking about it.
Yes.
The usual one. Yeah, rule number 1 was get good as a band. So yeah, he got that covered too.
Which is quite important.
Yeah. No, but the other panels were interesting too, the music and media stuff and so on, because it was very Swiss centric, and you get to know. I mean, there was the guy from the radio, from the most important Swiss radio, and he was like, "Oh, just give me a good song. I don't care about the group or the photos or the band or anything. I don't even care if it's from Switzerland. Just give me one good song, and I will play it around 60 times. 30, that people will remember it. 60, then it's old. But just give me one good song, and I don't really care about anything else." And then the journalist from the paper was like, no, I need an interesting band. One song doesn't give me anything. Give me an interesting band. It even doesn't have to give me, I can do the research and so on. I don't need the biography and so on. But give me a band with some interesting stuff to listen to, and I will write it up.
Right. Yes. Well, everyone has different media has their different requirements.
Yeah. And Swiss television needs 4 seconds of they are literally collecting 4 seconds of stuff of leftovers from other people's projects.
Yeah, here in Belgium, most of the national televisions or big televisions require you to have a music video before you can go on television. If you don't have a professional music video that kind of is done as all the other music videos and it doesn't stand out, then if you don't have that, then you can't get any airtime. And the only ones that allow you to do that are the local video stations and local TV stations. The
interesting thing is, it's not about your song being played. They have documentations they need music for. And they need a lot of music to put under their documentations. Right. And they pay normal, they can't pay you anything for it, except if you are at Suiza or GEMA or whatever the Belgian one is.
Royalties, right?
You get the money, yeah. So they need lots and lots of instrumental 4 seconds, and they need new ones, and they don't get anything because there's nobody writing or recording enough instrumental music they can use.
Right.
It was like, I never thought about that. The documentations, naturally, every time in television they have a larger theme or something. They need an intro music, an outro music, and the music for the interviews, and the music for that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we tend not to notice it. It's so used so much. I mean, just about any documentary or like news program, they always have a soundtrack, even if it's not a good soundtrack. Sometimes it's a distracting soundtrack. Yeah, but I mean, we're just so used to it in some regards that you don't notice it unless you really pay attention, or else occasionally you get one where there isn't a soundtrack and there's just like silence. That catches your attention. There's video and no audio. Is my television set working?
Well, that's 4 seconds from John Cage.
Yeah.
Nice
there
one.
we go. 2 points.
Yeah. And in the evening, the worst music.
Concert. Would have loved to have been at that first concert.
Yeah.
So, Mike, how have you been?
Great. I've been otherwise occupied for the week, though, and maybe today I can get at least one of those 2 sessions transcribed, as I promised.
There's no hurry.
Well, I don't think people are dying to hear them or read them, but it needs to get done.
Yes.
Really haven't done anything.
That's good. I'd love to be able to say that. I was contemplating doing nothing today, but no, it didn't work out.
Well, you're taking some interesting stitched together pictures.
Actually,
I like those.
Those are just straight from an app. And there's absolutely nothing to do. You just sort of wave your iPad around in the air and those result.
Interesting. Yeah, I looked it up. It was only 99 cents, so that'll probably be one of my first ones.
So when do you get yours, Larry?
As soon as I order it.
Oh, okay. I thought you already did.
No, I had some problems with my credit card. Somebody stole my number, and so I've had to get a new card issued and so forth.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's some little town 300 miles away from here. Somebody had a credit card with my number on it that they swiped across the counter and bought something at a big drugstore. I don't know what it was. It was like $800 of stuff. And, of course, luckily we have some pretty good working fraud detection or something. And immediately I got a telephone call. Said, "Did you purchase this?" And I said, "No way." And so that's when they canceled the card and everything. So at least they caught it right away.
Yeah.
They're very quick at that. I was actually standing in a liquor store buying liquor. My card got put through the machine, and my phone started ringing. So I pick up my phone, and the voice on the other end says, "Are you standing in a liquor store in Kinmount?" And I went, "Yes." "Oh, are you trying to buy liquor?" "Yes." "Okay, well, tell the woman to swipe it again. It'll work." It was just the weirdest thing. And, it's sort of scary, right? It's like a Bruce Willis movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the bank. I had driven to Toronto and been through a few cities, and they figured somebody was on a thieving spree or something.
Yeah, they must have algorithms that track stuff, and when there's anything kind of out of the ordinary or a whole bunch of purchases all of a sudden, it flags them to check into it.
Yes.
I know when I purchased through PayPal my Shruti kit, which is made in France, almost as soon as I punched the enter key on my computer, my telephone rang. "You're dealing with France?" We don't know about that.
Wow. I think it only happened once to me. But I've had some fraud on my credit card also. But they're very good to resolve that after the fact also.
Yeah, I got on it. I'm glad they informed me, but I had to wait almost a week and a half to get my new credit card and get all that sorted out. So, because of that, I haven't purchased my iPad 3 yet, but any day now, I think.
So I saw it at MusikMesse, and it does look amazing.
Hey, another person joins the team.
The biggest problem that I read about, though, is that once you start looking at the iPad screen, you can't stand your computer screen anymore.
Oh, it's not.
It's not that bad, but it's really. I have some pictures, really nice pictures, National Geographic stuff, and so on, and they look amazing. I mean, you really have a 3D feeling. I have now as an iPad. You probably don't see it very well, but I have this. It is shiny.
That is your iPad screen looks like one big pixel to me. So.
Yeah. So no, I have some what's it called in English? This gel thingies, fishies, the round ones. I don't know the English word now. Some sea stuff, ocean, and it looks three-dimensional, really three-dimensional. You have this feeling of depth, and I don't know how it's doing it. I really don't. But it's looking amazing. Jellyfish, yeah, that's the one.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
And it really, I mean, also reading and so on is quite good. But the MacBook Pro holds up. Yeah.
Now, do the existing applications run But at a lower resolution?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's no problem as far as running older applications since there's nothing new out there.
I mean, really old ones, yes.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Well, so all the dialogues and text and things in older applications, because they're part of the system, a lot of the older apps actually are, like their graphics, if they aren't updated, of course, don't change. They look fine, but they're not that high res. But things like text interfaces are just system calls, and the system graphics are improved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And I'm guessing as time goes on, people will rewrite the applications to use the higher resolution.
Yeah, the biggest problem with that is that the size kind of doubles, and they ship those applications as one application for all the iPads. So all the old iPads that don't have those resolutions lose space on their device just because iPad 3 exists.
I haven't seen that to be that dramatic, and most of my apps have been upgraded.
I suppose it depends on if it's a utility app, then there aren't that many graphics. But if it's a game or something like that, then there are much more.
Have they upgraded Animoog yet?
No.
Okay.
No. But I know that they're planning on releasing a new version quite soon. So
right.
It's some other stuff.
At least their 2 times for the iPhone apps thing works better than it used to, and I'm not sure that's unique to the iPad 3. It might be unique to iOS 5.
No, it's unique to the iPad 3. It uses the Retina version of the ×2 iPhone app.
Okay. Yeah.
But I used to hate doing that. Like, you know, they looked like crap, and now they're actually not that bad.
I mean, what I like most is I have the old one, the first one, and that one is thicker and heavier. And I think this one is much more ergonomic. It's easier to hold, which is important for me. If I hold this thing for 3, 4, 5 hours, I want something that's not going to strain my my wrists.
I'm not sure if it's still on, by the way, but eBay has a program of buying old iPads. They just buy them. You describe them, they'll print you out a mailing label, and you send it to them. I actually think they're selling it to Target, but...
We need 2. We found out we need 2. So
well,
it's not like... 3? No, 2 persons, 2 iPads, that's enough. 2 iPhones. Yeah.
So is that going to be a new consideration when people make kids? It's like, we'll have to buy him an iPad. Like,
yeah, that will be hard.
Yeah, they're definitely getting very popular. There's a number of schools here in the United States that are actually issuing iPads to the students, and they're keeping all their textbooks and instructional and activities and assignments and everything else on the iPad.
Wow.
So
they got them on
loan? Huh?
They got them on loan for a year or something like that?
I don't know how they're financing it, but every student that enrolls in the school, this is one of the standard public schools, is issued an iPad.
Wow.
I don't know the details yet, but of course for Apple, I mean, they could just about give them away. It's such good publicity. They used to do that to educational institutions, especially for the teachers and professors. Apple would sell stuff real cheap or give it away or something because they figured we were going to get such a big payback on this because people are going to get so used to working with Apple products. And they did. A lot of people swear by them because that's what they grew up with, sort of.
Yeah. I just was told at MusikMesse that all the iPads and the Macs on their booths just loaned to them by Apple for the show. And they're just
I used to have, before I retired, I had a U of T, University of Toronto faculty card. And the prices were substantially better. Well, actually, the prices on everything were substantially better.
Yeah, but also an iPad is actually cheaper than a laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, if you have students, you should have at least a laptop with some kind of, if you have a keyboard, it should be a keyboard that works, and if you have a screen, it should be a screen that's not hurting your eyes. And getting a laptop like this is still pretty expensive, or let's say it's more expensive than an iPad, which has this Retina display, which is pretty good for the eyes. And you can always have an Apple keyboard with it, a Bluetooth Apple keyboard, which is a normal keyboard, which doesn't strain the wrists, so you don't hurt the kids. I mean, that's I think that's a consideration too. A cheap laptop probably isn't good for an 8-year-old.
Probably not.
Well, cheap laptops are fairly fragile by comparison too.
Yeah.
But I do find working on an iPad still retains some problems. So, for example, I can't sit on my iPad, watch the YouTube, and document in a text note, what's happening on the YouTube.
Yeah, I had the same
So I find when you're trying to get stuff back and forth between applications, it's just not there. You can cut and paste a line of text, but that's about it.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
find that just writing text on it, it's okay if it's an email. But I did this experiment more than a year ago when I wrote that initial review of the Eigenharp Alpha before I was working for Eigenlabs. I tried to do that on the iPad. And I spent most of my time dealing with actually the ergonomics that aren't good for writing text. Because it becomes only good when you put yourself in a position where it becomes a desktop computer, which is use a keyboard and use a mouse and use a stand where you put your iPad on, and then I might as well just sit at my desk and use a computer. If I sit in the couch and write text with it, then the screen is too small because the keyboard takes part of it, and then it becomes difficult to navigate. So in that respect, actually, I think the laptop is much more usable. Also, if you, for example, are traveling and you want to use it somewhere else, it's easy to have that instant access to everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a laptop, probably it's better. But if you have to decide laptop and then probably for a kid an iPad can be.
And then let's get back to the Eigenharp. You need a computer for the Eigenharp, and the iPad is not good enough.
No. When are you going to port EigenD to the iOS platform?
It's a big problem, is that we can't get direct USB access.
Yeah.
So unless you kind of go through the whole approval process of having an official accessory, and it takes quite a while. And then I still don't think, I've been talking about this with Jim, and he doesn't think, and I kind of trust his judgment, that the iPad is good enough for the high performance, low latency processing for the Eigenharp data. Maybe for the Pico, but not for anything more. Yeah. So and then if you do that, you still need to run your virtual instruments.
Yeah, I think it makes a much better accessory. Stage, for example, is just a great thing to run on the iPad, and thank you for
sure.
that. Any news from Frankfurt that you want to share?
Boring.
So, I didn't miss anything.
No, honestly, I was like, actually, it's very, very interesting to see it, to look at Frankfurt and to actually see it as being a sign of the times, because the halls in between the booths were like 50% larger than the previous years. So there were also much less booths. The booths were smaller in general, or kind of companies combining stuff together, or most companies were not exhibiting themselves anymore, but having their distributors exhibiting multiple brands on the same booth. And a lot of companies simply weren't there. Companies like Arturia weren't there, Spectrasonics wasn't there. It's like it's a whole bunch of companies just not there. which is probably related to two things. First is the economy, and the second one is that there isn't that much value to be get out of trade shows anymore, thanks to this new thing called the internet. So the only real reason that it's still interesting is for professionals to have everyone present at the same location, kind of fill up your schedule with meetings, and but you can do that without a booth.
Yeah, it's more of a conference than a trade show at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was rather disappointing. Well, I saw one cool thing, but I already saw it on YouTube. It was cool to see in real life, which is that Schmidt 8-channel polyphonic analog synthesizer. That costs, I don't know what it costs, 10,000 euros or something like that.
Woo.
So did it fit on your carry-on coming home?
I went by train.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But
sorry.
you can't carry that thing. It's,
Heavy?
It's like the size of your table.
Oh, okay.
Let me just see if I can find the video.
I thought you did a good job of explaining Workbench and
Did you like
answering
this?
the inevitable questions about using MIDI.
Did you like this the one on SonicState, because that was totally improvised?
Yeah, I did like it. I thought it was about the right level for someone who, was coming new to the topic.
Okay, cool. Because I wasn't sure that I kind of covered it in the right way, but it's good that you liked it. Let me see. This is that Schmidt synthesizer. One thing that looked cool, it's like a polyphonic mode basically, because you've got patch management, and when you flick through it, it kind of updates all the settings all over the 8 voices, and the panel of the synthesizer is actually very thin and collapses down, which kind of looks very cool, and it's beautifully made, but it's very expensive. I think it's even more than 10,000 euros. I can't remember the price, but
When does the alpha go up? Next month?
yeah, something like that. Let me check. Yes, 1st of May.
Yeah. I see there's yet another nice one for sale.
Yes. It's a good thing for people that want one. And quick. Want it quick. So apart from the Schmidt, I didn't really see anything that I thought was. Yeah, I did. I spent some time with the new Buchla importer, because they had a Buchla system just there. So I sat there for an hour just plugging patch cords all over the place. And just met up with people that I hadn't seen in real life before, but I just talked with on the internet, and it's always cool. Apart from that, technology-wise, there was nothing that interested me that much.
How was the attendance in general? Also
Low.
down?
Yeah. You could really feel it. So
Yeah, last year's looked like there was quite a crowd.
Yes, but this year was really, it's like the public day on Saturday is like, everyone's like, oh my God, it's the last day, but it's going to be horrible. It's totally going to be horrible. It's going to be so many people. And so they announced that in the morning, like, dear exhibitors, we'd like to tell you that the Frankfurt MusikMesse for the public is now opened, right? And then you're like, and then you saw everyone like, oh God, they're gonna arrive now, and it's gonna be hell. It's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour later, like, well, they haven't arrived yet. It's like just people trickling in and out, and it's like, okay, well, and yeah, that was about it for the whole day. Sometimes you had a little bit more, but nothing extraordinary, really.
Yeah, there was nothing exciting in front, like something new or something. there will happen something or so.
But I don't think that people came to trade fairs for that, because you never knew beforehand what was going to be announced.
Yeah, but the public has in a way a pretty good, feeling for when you think that something happens or don't think that something happens.
I had a play with that. What is it called again? The new, what is it? AlphaSphere? Is that the thing? You guys seen that? Where is that?
The one based on intervals?
No.
Was there much announced? I mean, normally I'll see half a dozen things go by about what's being announced at MusikMesse, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, there was a few minor things. So I played around with that thing, the AlphaSphere, which I don't want to try to not bash any competitors' products. I don't think that's constructive, but it didn't make me understand how important every aspect of interaction with a musical instrument is. Because what you don't see on any of these pictures and videos is that it's basically made of plastic and it has no weight. Meaning that if you've got a ball and you press against it and it has no weight, what happens is that it moves. So you have to spend basically either pressing on opposite sides to keep it kind of in the same position, bolt it down or hold it in place to be able to play. And that is accentuated by the fact that you have to push at least for 3 millimeters before it starts responding. It has this distance of travel before it detects data. And then once you're in there, it's like poking in there with your finger. Then there's something interesting going on. I can see some potential there. But then they also told me that it only used 7-bit MIDI, which kind of kind of got me out of totally uninterested immediately. It's like, why the hell would you make a new instrument that would only be able to use polypressure? So that was that. There's some
it's strange though. That's exactly what people do. I mean, I actually sort of enjoyed John's rant about MIDI because it makes a very important point. It really cements the entire musical environment in a very fixed, rather old place.
Yes. Yeah. So I asked them, do you support OSC? And they said, yes, we support OSC. I said, how do you support OSC?
It'll carry MIDI, right?
You can change the parameters, the settings, by sending in an OSC message. Like, my God, dude, come on, support OSC. Do something interesting with the data that comes out of this. So anyway, but they're still in design stages, so I give them all that input, and I
sure. And I mean, how long have they been at it?
A couple of years.
I'd never heard of it before. Thanks for this. It doesn't look terribly appealing, but what in their view is the fundamental big deal about it?
Fun.
Oh, okay.
That's about it.
Is it wired?
Good question. I think it is. But it's supposed to be
it could be an
static
interesting
also.
performance
It's supposed to be static, I think. It's not supposed to move around.
That's a pity.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a sort of beach basketball with a musical device, right?
I thought about soccer.
I wouldn't feel comfortable either moving it around because it does feel very plasticky and flimsy. It's like
it actually sort of looks like styrofoam coffee cups.
Yeah, well, it's about that feeling that you get. It is sturdy plastic though, so you have to take an effort to break it. But it feels I don't know what I can compare it with, but nothing around me that's as light as that. It's like,
but I see this right. You can play only 2 of these cups or whatever they are, because they are so big that you need 1 hand for 1 cup, 1 hand for 1 pad, or whatever this is.
I don't think so. You can kind of press multiple ones at the same time, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're on opposite sides.
Well, or either that, or they have to increase the weight, or you have to bolt it down, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, they have a stand.
To have pretty.
But even on the stand hasn't got any weight on it, so it's like you kind of just push it across the desk. So it was a bit disappointing. I was hoping that it would be more. The same thing for the lights. They could have done something very interesting with the lights. I thought that was actually quite cool from some of the pictures that you see. But they kind of seem, rigged, those pictures, because the lights don't come out as anywhere near as nice as that.
I guess it would displace an audio cube.
Not really, because there is no proximity sensor or something like that.
No, but a single one. Instead of using your hand's proximity, you just press on it's a surface in the cup, right?
Yes. The thing though is you really have to press it. It's like if you do this, that's not sufficient. You kind of have to do this, right? So it does get some effort going before, and that combined with the light, the lack of weight makes it a bit clumsy.
Okay, so your pressing on your palm reminded me of something. Who here grills steak?
No, I don't.
Never done a barbecue with steak?
Yeah, but not with steak, no.
Because I learned a long time ago how to figure out whether your steak's well done, and it's where you put your finger. So if you do this, and you touch this piece, try that. You'll see it's quite spongy. Right? That's rare. Now move your fingers across. And when you get to your pinky, that's well done.
Okay.
And it works. If you do that, you're standing beside a grill and you just press down with the fork you're using.
Yeah.
That amount of squishiness is a really good predictor of whether it's, how well cooked your steak is.
Really?
So there you go. That has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but it's your cooking lesson for the day.
And then you can start getting into this Zen mode if you do it with both hands.
Exactly.
And you can meditate about the state of your steak.
Exactly. Yoga steak.
Yes.
Anyways, it does work.
I'll give that a try if I'll grill some steak one day. God, we're far away from the Eigenharp today.
I don't think we ever actually got there, did we?
I don't think so either.
I did discover that the reason my audio unit 4 in version 2 wasn't working was I'd managed to inadvertently remove a couple of connections, so I got that fixed. And I didn't spend too much time with Fingerer. I meant to, but I really got drawn away from stuff last week for no good reason, for lots of bad reasons.
But probably because it was beautiful weather.
It was absolutely gorgeous. There were people swimming in Lake Ontario.
Wow.
Last year, I go to town this week every year because there's a sort of home show thing on. And myself and my friend always go. And last year, it was a blizzard. There was like 3 feet of snow. Everything was frozen. This year, we went down to the beaches in Toronto. There was a huge crowd sunning themselves on the beach and people swimming.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Hi.
Hello. So, to get back to a little bit more technical stuff, I had some talks with the guys at Steinberg to try to get the whole note expression thing about a bit better supported, and so they were more interested in that than last year. So we had some kind of informal discussions about me maybe going over there and talking directly with the software developers there to see what would be a good way to advance this on both sides, so that we can get a tighter integration from the Eigenharp into Cubase and back. I'll see where that goes. One thing that kind of dawned on me was that so they have this whole thing where you kind of still have to go through MIDI to get anything in there inside Cubase that's music related. But since they have this whole platform, this VST platform, more specifically now it's VST 3.5 with Note Expression, they kind of formalized how messages about notes in VST plugins have to be sent to the VST plugins. I don't see that there would be any reason why we couldn't come up with some kind of a transport mechanism that does this between applications, so that the same data format would kind of be sent from one application to the other, and then you can kind of control anything that supports VST 3.5 directly from anywhere. That would be a cool thing.
That might not be in their interest with respect to Cubase.
Why not?
But it makes sense. I mean,
why would that not be interesting for them? Because VST is kind of where their integration with the whole market is, right? If more people see the benefit of VST 3.5, because I don't think there is any other host in existence besides Cubase for VST 3 plugins. If they're like the de facto host and you can send data straight into it and record and edit and modify it inside Cubase, and there's no other application that does it at that level, it would kind of get them more customers now.
It would, until somebody said, oh, look, here's a new data format and I'll support it too.
But they're not Steinberg. And there's this thing about Steinberg and VST. It's, that's why none of the other. There is. We'll see what happens with the Reason thing, with their new plugin format. But I'd be very surprised that anyone else besides Reason, Propellerhead, would actually do anything with it. Apart from some plugin makers that create effects that are easily ported to it. So. I don't know. It's seemed like an easy approach to kind of bypass MIDI altogether and get into a DAW.
Yeah, you might be right. That might actually convince me to buy Cubase if it was, useful in that way.
Yeah, not set up anything. Just get your data streamed straight into it from a MIDI controller, and then be able to edit it without going over MIDI and having all that available directly in your plugins.
So what do you call a MIDI controller that doesn't use MIDI?
It's a very good question, and I was talking with that, and there's this website, AudioFanzine, a very strange website, because I met with them at MusikMesse, and I sat down with them for 30 minutes, after which they didn't want to publish a news item about the Eigenharp, even though they thought it was interesting. But then I got an email today asking if I was interested in doing any advertising on their website, so I kind of got the cue.
Yeah.
But they have this category for the Haken Continuum, MIDI guitars, Eigenharp, and AlphaSphere. It's all in there with MIDI controllers. So I did send them a message and said, I think you do need a new category in your website, because those are not MIDI controllers. Those are real instruments, and you need to be able to put that in some place where people don't think it will just be a slider on a keyboard. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. So, okay. But it is difficult. How do you call this? Is it like, because I suggested a few names, but what is it? High-res electronic instruments, expressive electronic instruments, new electronic instruments. I don't know. It's difficult to find a name for that.
You might be better off just starting with phrases like music controller. It's close enough, right? And I guess I'm adopting this. Let's get rid of the word MIDI at all cost.
But I'd say the same thing
not
about
because
let's get rid of the word controller, because it has this very bad connotation.
Yeah. It leads people to want to use it as only a controller, and
Yes.
you lose so much when you do that. That's interesting.
It's very difficult to find, one or two word category to put these new electronic instruments in. It's because the way that I've always been talking about it is new electronic instruments.
Can't you say infused?
Sorry?
Most people like infused.
Infused.
Because I'm in the music scene a lot, and a lot of people enjoy hearing the idea of that it's infused.
Okay, I've never heard that. Infused.
Sorry, what's that word? That sounded infused?
Infused?
I haven't heard that word.
Yeah, never heard about it.
How's it used?
Just a lot of electronic and folk and everything are being infused by a lot of media controls, like what you're talking about, and they're introducing them as their own instruments and such. Mm-hmm. DJs use a lot of different, I like to call them e-pads, and they're just color-coded pads that you're DJ on. Mm-hmm. And they're getting rid of turntables and all going electronic.
Yes.
I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, it's see what it means, actually, because I've never heard the word. To cost for something that alters usually for the better. Huh.
This word?
Yes.
So what do you do in the music scene? Just
I'm a boogier. I know quite a few different bands, and I promote.
okay.
So.
Well, that's cool.
Very good.
And just dance.
Have fun.
It is. Now I saw your guys' little group, and I was like, I wonder what this is all about.
Well, actually, this hasn't been the best one of these to find out.
It's okay.
I'll show you very quickly, just so that you get a picture. We all kind of play this electronic instrument that looks like this.
I was looking at that. It's like, it's phenomenal.
So this is basically us getting together and talking about stuff related to it. And today we kind of went on a very, very large tangent.
Well, I enjoy it.
Very good.
So yeah. So that's interesting to all think about a little bit. See if we can come up with something good that no one will like anyway. So.
So, what word would you use in addition to infuse? Like, or I'm wondering how you would use it to describe a device intended to produce music.
I kind of gotta, I don't know, I gotta look at it and see a little bit more what it is to kind of see how different bands would take to it.
Well, we are having another one of these on Thursday, aren't we, Larry?
Last I heard.
So, we could actually agree to show you a couple of things on it at that time if you wanted to join us.
I don't know if you're familiar with like Michael Manahan of Acorn Project. He does a lot of electronic devices, and I think this would be something up his alley, and would be kind of interesting to see how y'all would get a new person. How do you learn to play one of those things?
That's one of the biggest problems, because it is a real instrument. It is not, as the example that you gave, it's what you call the E-pads, which is just pressing a bunch of buttons, and you can learn that in 10 minutes. As soon as you know what each button does, as soon as you mentally understand what the interaction with those buttons is, then it's okay. the thing about those new instruments like the Eigenharp and the Continuum, and it's a whole bunch of other ones out there, is that they need actual skill. Just as a guitar, just as a violin, a piano, less as a piano, more like a violin. So it does need, daily practice, and it needs dedication to get somewhere with it, which is kind of where. Because we've been at it for quite a while now, and there's been a number of well-known musicians that have kind of showed interest. The biggest problem there is that they don't have time to pick up a new instrument. So the ones that did, though, they're very happy with it. They're touring with it, but it's like a very small percentage of those that actually got one in their hands. And most of the times, ironically, it's those that got it for free on a loan. They never did anything with it. The ones that paid for it, they did something with it.
The other difference is the people who seem to have integrated it into what they do, and I'm thinking Dino Soldo, I guess, had a specific problem that it solved.
Yes.
Okay.
And in his case, I can pick up this and have a whole horn section, but I can't do that any other way. So I think it provided him, that's what he says anyways, provided him a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
I got to catch them the next time. They're in my general area from time to time.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
So I guess it'll sell him a ticket, right?
Yes.
But the other challenge with the device is that it's pretty much infinitely configurable. So many of us... So Geert's point about there's a learning curve. Many of us who started day one, and I'm pretty sure I had the first one in North America, Geert, I think.
I think so, yeah.
It was a matter of, how will I hold this? Will I use scales? How am I going to do it? It's sort of like you went and handed a guitar to somebody in the jungle who'd never seen it. They're not necessarily all going to start out holding it in a way that, after half a year they say, really I shouldn't have learned that. Now I have to learn it all over again. And that has been one of my challenges. I got pretty good at doing something that was pretty much a dead end. But other people are perfectly happy. Robin's got a great technique and fits into a
what he does is really good.
I guess. Nicely.
It's very nice to see what he does with it. And when we jammed with him a couple of months ago at the developers conference, he's so good at what he does. He really just, he goes off. It's like, let's start his folk tune, and he's like, oh God, where's he going with this?
Sure, that's awesome. Because that's the way he plays. I'd love to find somebody to jam with. And it's a perfect jamming device, because you put it in the key and you just go wild.
Right? He plays chromatic, I think.
Wow.
Does he? I didn't know that.
I think he plays chromatic.
He also has a good grip on that music.
Yeah, but he learned, I think, if I remember well, he learned a whole bunch of patterns that he knows how to adapt. And so he trained those, and he's able to switch from one to the other easily. And because I do think he plays chromatic,
Yeah.
I would have guessed. In fact, I was joking with him. I'm sure I said, well, you just put it in D major and all things Celtic arise. And he says, no, you need A major too.
I think that's why he started. He started off with major scales, and then he just learned how to play it in chromatic, so that he could switch between them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he said something like his band colleagues weren't really happy in the beginning when he had to switch to the scales. So he wasn't allowed to switch scales.
The little blinking lights upstage them?
No, it was in the beginning. It was for him. It was like 5 minutes to switch scale. That the find the right button and look down stuff, and the other ones wanted to go on. Like playing one song and then going into the next one without interruption. And he was like, "Where's the button? Where's my scale? How do I change this again?" Because he normally didn't know in the beginning where the button was, and they didn't like that.
Yeah, it's understandable. I still feel like that when I take out the Eigenharp with my band. I'm like, how much are they gonna look weird now? It's like how how many stares will I get as I say, hang on, I got to fine-tune this. So I don't do it anymore at this time. I got to get a little bit better at it still.
I don't know, my scene likes that kind of stuff, hearing everybody tune in their things. I'm a jam bander, so I like that hippie crap.
Yeah. Well, that's great once you have something. I do that on the guitar, and that's no problem. But it's different with an instrument like. Sorry.
How extensive is it to switch out your tuning on it?
It is not. It's very easy, but that's now not a problem anymore for me, neither for Robin that we talked about. This is something that you learn quite quickly. But it's more about, since it's so infinitely configurable, you kind of always have to strike this balance about configuring it the way you want it at a given time, but still make it possible to move elsewhere when an idea arises. And there's this balance between being very targeted, but still being able to move elsewhere. And that is kind of an ongoing process. I think it's a little bit like, I don't know, finding a tuning that fits you on a guitar, or finding strings that fit you, or a plectrum that fits you, figuring out if you like playing with a plectrum or with your fingers, figuring out if like playing drop D tuning or not, or if you kind of developing your habits and just being comfortable with the whole thing before you're able to be able to do something useful in a jam. Because that's one of the most frustrating parts, though, in a jam, when someone has to wait, when everyone has to wait for someone.
It's true.
But I think that what Robin has going for him is quite nice, because what he did was very much constraining the limits of what he's playing. He kind of set the style and the scales and the instruments, and that's it. That works well in that context, I think. Context, I think.
Cool.
So, I think we're gonna call it a day again. It's already that time.
Sure. So the next one is 2 p.m. Central Time on Thursday.
So I did advertise it correctly when I said it in the SonicState video, right?
Yes, you did. I had to laugh.
I was like, God, what did Mike write down again? I was like,
Well, at that time, we're guaranteed some attendees, because we can still pick up Europe, most of North America.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, if the guys in Pacifica want to have a hangout, they can just have a hangout, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
So, and we can try or not to make it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Well,
Okay.
Until next time.
Yes.
Until next time.
Yeah. Nice talking to all y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.